now is the time really. We've got a lot of beer bloggers from around the country, and I think it's very difficult to get us all together at one time. And having the opportunity to get 8 people from around the country to try a great beer like this Master's New World Pale Ale. And I think that's the basis of it really, is being able to share a beer from whatever part of the country you're in. And for me, I've got children. It's very difficult for me to go to the pub more than 5 times a week.
Can we open it now?
Yeah, go on, Matt. Open it if you really want to.
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
I'm going to join you on opening a New World Pale Ale.
Hey!
So, New World Pale Ale was evolved from a beer that we had on our guest ale programme about 18 months ago. We were given the opportunity to have an experiment with some Australian hops that become available to us, and we started off trying to create a blonde beer for our guest ale programme using those hops. Now, that beer then and this beer now are completely different monsters. The evolution of that beer over the last 18 months has been absolutely astonishing, but it was what sparked the seed of the idea. One of the questions I've already been asked this morning has been, where are the similarities between this and pedigree? And the similarities lie in that we're using the traditional pedigree yeast to ferment this product that's been propagated through the Burton unions, and it's got its real stable genetic base and some really core distinct flavours that come through from the yeast there. And we're also using our gypsum-rich water. So, as you're probably aware, gypsum, when it's used in a pale ale beer, helps to give a really rich, round mouthfeel and sort of round off some of the sharp citrus edges that you might get through some of the hops. When we look at the malt base of this beer, we've used a really low colour pale ale malt for about 90-95% of the hop fruits, and then we've thrown some wheat in there as well to give it a really smooth mouthfeel and sort of the tight, creamy head that you've got on the top there, which the bottle I had some fantastic head retention, so I hope you've got the same. And then obviously the really different thing with this, I'm sure if you've smelt it already, you've pulled up the amazing sort of almost tropical fruits, lilt-like aroma of this particular beer. Yeah. And we've done that by using hops in a completely different way to how we normally would on our plant. We've experimented with adding hops in, not just during the boil and the end of the boil. We've been adding them into the FBs, we've been adding them at various stages through the fermentation process. We've actually done some work with dropping this beer during the fermentation to try and mix those hops better to get better draw of those aromas out into the beer, and also to drive off that typical sulphur characteristic that a lot of people don't seem to like about pedigree. So we've done a lot of work and development trying to create this really rounded off beer. And when you try it, I mean, I think it's fantastic. It's really smooth, very, very full, but you get that sweetness and the sort of the passion fruits and pineapple, melons and limes, fantastic. Now, the core hops that we've used in this are Galaxy and Topaz. So Galaxy is the predominant one that we've got coming out in this, and that's what gives you the passion fruit, sort of the grapefruit and pineapple-y kind of characters. There's a little bit of Topaz in there, which gives it a melon character and a lime character. It's not quite as prevalent, but I think helps to soften it out a little bit and make it quite smooth. And yeah, I really hope you enjoy it.
I'd just like to add at this stage, the aroma's fantastic.
I'm really pleased to hear you say that. We've really worked hard at that.
Really nice, and it follows through massively in the taste. It's like the aroma and the taste really does meld together. It comes together nicely, and the balance as well. Between, like you were saying, them malts and them hops, there's a really nice kind of bitter-sweet balance that goes on with the beer.
Well, the bitterness on this, it's aimed a little bit higher than the pedigree, but the balance for us is to be able to use absolutely loads and loads of hops, but not excessively have too much bitterness.
I was going to ask, is it brewed using the Burton Union?
It's not brewed in the union system, no. That doesn't mean it won't be, but at the moment it's still coming out of development stages, so there is potential for it.
Well, I'm just intrigued by the use of the pedigree, what it has to do with the pedigree, which is all about being brewed on the Burton Union.
It's the fact it uses the pedigree yeast. It's using natural Marston's gypsum-rich water, and it's all about it being Marston's. But because it's a pale ale, it draws that comparative between the two similar styles.
What do you think of the beer, Matt, so far?
Well, I quite like the aftertaste lingers quite nicely on the palate there. It's quite refreshing. I was quite keen to know, are we likely to see this on draft in the same place as Pedigree, or would it kind of be going against it, or will we be seeing different types of venues?
It certainly won't be going against it, Matt. It's such a different beer in terms of flavour, in terms of profile, and also in terms of ABV, that we see it working in the same venues, but we also see it has a real way of targeting areas and venues outside of the Pedigree heartland and our traditional Pedigree accounts. It's pitched at a younger consumer, and we think that it'll fit very well, particularly with the keg application on the craft keg scene. In terms of the marketing, everything that we're looking to do with that is about discovery, it's about fun, it's about being engaging. Trying something like this today, trying to do a lot more on the digital platform and make a brand like Pedigree as relevant and as engaging to modern consumers as we can, both through Pedigree itself, but also through this as a brand extension.
I'd just like to invite Terry Kay to the Hangout. Hello, Terry, how are you doing?
Good.
Have you cracked open your beer yet, Terry?
No, I'm going to crack it open now. I'm going to got my little ring to crack it open with. So would you kind of bold enough to say that it's heading maybe towards the lucrative lager market?
I think it's got an awful lot more about the lager market, but we'd be silly to talk the impact of world lagers in terms of the presentation, the impact that they've had in bars and accounts. So we'd certainly look to be recruiting people from that section of the market.
Yeah. I have a question. I'm getting kind of a big punchy kind of Tasmanian Galaxy hops in there. Is that are you using that as a late one? A late hop? Are you kind of dry hopping with that?
We've been experimenting with different ways of using our hops through the fermentation, and with this particular beer, we've got a really low hopping rate as body hop oil, and 95% of the hops are added in either at the end of cast, start of fermentation, the middle of fermentation, the end of fermentation as well. We've also experimented with dropping the beer from fermented to fermented to help to rouse it and try and withdraw a little bit more of that aroma from the hops in there as well. Now, it's not just the Galaxy hop that we've got in there, we've also got some Topaz hop as well. So you sort of get that slightly melony lime edge from the Topaz as opposed to the stronger, more tropical, passion fruity Galaxy character that you're picking up on.
Yeah.
What type of food would you kind of pair this beer with?
Well, from my own personal perspective, I've got a massive sweet tooth, and this is a cheesecake beer for me. So a really nice mandarin cheesecake type. So you've got that citrus fruit and the sweetness of the cheese and the smoothness as well. I just think they go really well hand in hand. But I think different people's palates work in different ways, and I'd love to hear what somebody else's suggestions for what you might want to drink that with.
I think it would go really well with a barbecue, actually, as you say, an outdoor kind of, like grilled chicken, something like that. Lovely.
The flavours in this, I don't know if you've all had a little taste of it. The flavours in this are extraordinary. Massive pink grapefruits, all little tropical fruit background notes in there. It's really, really lovely. I think that it's one of them situations, if you start throwing food on the top, you're going to spoil a good experience.
I like your style there, Terry.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on this topic, Tim?
I think I agree with a lot of things that have been said. I think beer should be drunk in the company of good friends, and sometimes you spend too much time worrying about what food it would pair with, food it would match. Just enjoy the beer. It's just a fabulously fully flavoured beer with kind of some really nice sort of tropical notes, and a really nice long bitter finish, which I've always enjoyed.
Yeah, I've always said that a really good beer should walk you home from the pub afterwards. It's kind of accompany you home from the pub. It's fantastic. And just he's there. He's so beautiful on the back of the boat. It's lovely. Really nice. Cheers.
Bye.
No, but can we do it again?